sliding doors moment in a way for you. A week like this, you must be glad you've made the move to North Melbourne.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to playing finals, absolutely. It's been a long year, and I mean, this is what we're all working towards, and it's finally here. So it's sort of been coming for a little while, and you go through that period of winter where it's pretty tough from week to week. But no, it's really exciting, not only for me, but the whole footy club. So really looking forward to the weekend.
What sort of experience and knowledge can you pass on to the boys that haven't really played much finals over time?
It's a tough one. It's sort of sometimes tough to explain to guys what it's like to play finals because it is different. But I think you need to live that experience as well. But I mean, all I've sort of passed on at this stage is just be ready to be flexible because the week's a little bit different. You obviously do a little bit of media. There's a few more people at training. You just need to understand that you need to get your preparation right. But then outside of that, it's a time to relax. But things are a little bit different. But I think this group's really mature. And I know we are generally pretty young and guys have played one final the last few years. But I think the way that they've handled themselves throughout the whole year, nothing special has to happen this week for us to be ready to play. So we'll try and treat the week in preparation as similar as we had throughout the whole year, and we'll see what happens come the weekend.
Is it funny at all, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but that you're playing against Brendan Goddard? I mean, two Saints that have used for agency to get to other clubs, and now the first final that you play for respective clubs is against each other?
I guess in some ways. I mean, Brendan and I also lived together for about 3.5 years. So that bit, it's a little bit ironic, I guess, but I mean, come the weekend and, the way that BJ goes about his football, very competitive, that I don't think there'll be any love lost for that 2 hours, and then post that we can, be friends again, but we'll see how it goes.
Any sneaky texts in the last couple of days?
No, I haven't. I might message him later in the week just to stir him up a little bit, but no, it's pretty professional from here on.
Drew, confident that the forward line is in a structurally sound shape. I guess there's been so many rotations in the last few weeks through that area of the ground.
Yeah, I guess we've seen a few of the midfielders play and have to spend more time on the ground. So Jack Zeeble and Ben Cunnington have kicked some goals in the last few weeks. Kane Turner has come in and kicked 4 last week and 2 the week before that, and I think 1 before that. So he's putting pressure on guys around him to perform. Benny Brown's been great in giving us a really strong target and being able to do some ruck work as well. So it's probably taken us a good 10 to 12 weeks, or the first half of the year we certainly had to find what was the best formula, but I think we've found it at the moment.
Drew, you know Boomer better than anyone at the club. How tough do you think he's going to do it this week?
I've found that Boomer, I suppose the longer the suspension's gone on, the better he's got. But now I think that'll change this week, given it's a final, and there's a whole lot more to miss from him not being there on the weekend. So whilst we've got plenty of reasons to win this week, I suppose one small reason as well is to win so that he can play the following week.
Form-wise, how do you think the team at the moment compares to where you were in 2012 this time?
Yeah, in a better position, a far better position. We're coming off the back of having won 4 in a row, which we haven't done all season. And last year we weren't competitive against the top sides in the competition, whereas this year we have been competitive and beat the top sides in the comp. So from that point of view, we're in a far better position.
This team's been identified as having a lot of potential for a number of years, but now you've had a good season, elimination final, home elimination final. It's time to sort of deliver now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I suppose the group has taken a bit of time to mature, a bit longer to mature. Last year we saw the inconsistencies. The front half of this year we saw those inconsistencies still, but now we're seeing, again, on the back of a 4 match winning streak, we're seeing a group that's been able to perform certainly on the training track better, and then that carries on. We've sort of fluctuated in training sessions and stuff that probably people don't see as much through the mid part of the year, but now the last 6 weeks has been really consistent across the board in everything we've done.
You talked about Cunnington and Zeeble before as, I guess, maybe potential match winners. That last quarter move forward, isolated one out in the 50. Is that something we might see again on the weekend?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, whether it's one of them or both of them. Daniel Wells played some time as a deep forward on the weekend. Cunnington and Zeeble are very strong overhead marks, so they certainly demand a good defender to play on them and not just maybe a resting midfielder, so or a back pocket for that matter. So they'll demand a good opponent, and I'm sure they'll get used again this week because it's worked in the last 2.
It's been so long since you last played Essendon back in round 1, and it was quite a loss. Can you take much from or read much into that match at all?
Yeah, not really. I've thought back to that, and Dal, you probably the same. Thought back to the round 1 game, and I've almost actually what I did the other day, which I regret doing, is I looked up some stats and things from that game, and I saw that I had an outstanding 3 possessions in that game. So I'll be hoping to perform a little better than that this week. I reckon Essendon's game plan, and they'll have evolved a bit throughout the season. Will have evolved a bit. The personnel has changed, so I'm sure the coaches will have a look at it in small parts, but. More so what Essendon's done in the last month as opposed to what they did in round 1.
Drew, did you have a look at the Bombers against Carlton? And if so, who do you reckon is going to pick you up on the weekend?
I didn't see much of it. I was sort of preparing for our game that night, expecting Cale Hooker to play on myself, and Michael Hurley will probably play on Aaron Black. But they've got a really good defence now. That Hooker and Hurley are good intercept markers now, and Hibberd with his rebound off half-back, Dempsey with his run off half-back are really damaging players. So they've got the tools to stop us from scoring, but also to generate a lot of their offensive drive themselves. So as a forward, you want to try and kick goals and get on the scoreboard, but you've also got to stop them from generating that run off half-back.
You've been identified by some as a player who could really shape this final series. Do you enjoy sort of having that extra responsibility?
I think the expectation is that everybody plays a role in the finals. No one person is going to win this week for us. It's going to be everybody, and it's probably a generic, boring cliche, but it's true. I'm not going out there trying to kick 6 goals and win the game with my own boot, because it's probably not going to happen. So we expect everybody to do their bit, and if we're challenged in the first quarter and things aren't going our way, you've just got to dig in and just wait for things to turn.
Nick, how important is it to get some experienced heads back into the lineup this week for a final?
Yeah, I think it helps, obviously. It's been a long year, and I think guys have learned a lot throughout the whole year, and Drew touched on it before. From where we were, say, round 1, I think we're the same team in the way that we go about it. I just think we've learned how we play our football better and more consistently. It's always beneficial getting older guys into the team that understand the game at a different level, but by saying that, I have complete confidence in the younger guys, and you look at someone like Kane Turner, who's played the last, say, 3 out of the last 4 weeks and has been absolutely outstanding. So I have full confidence if he is to play this week that he can do his job as well.
When the Bombers are playing well, they're playing a lot of uncontested football, and that seems to lend itself to the larger ground at the G. North doesn't have too much experience there. Are you confident that that's somewhere that you can match up on them better than you did in round 1?
Yeah, I think we can play good football anywhere. We've been to Perth twice this year, and that's as big a ground as you will have in Australia. So we perform well there. But you speak about the uncontested marks and all those sort of things. It's the same every week. We know how teams play football. We know how we play our footy, and if we're serious about it and we're competitive, then we'll be able to compete on the day. So, and if we're not, then we don't.
Drew, similar to that, does it matter that North as a club, not just this year, but in the past few years, hasn't played much of the MCG?
I don't think it does. I think we're all pretty happy to be playing at the G this week. It's the home of footy, and it's where the big dance is in 4 weeks' time. So to get some, hopefully, get a win this week, get some practice there. There's nothing better than running out at the MCG in front of 70,000. So I'm looking forward to that on Saturday night.
Playing the ground isn't any different to playing Etihad, for example?
Obviously the dimensions are bigger. So there's more space, requires more running, and obviously just being an outdoor stadium, it demands your skill level to be up and better than it is when you're playing under the roof. So I don't think it's going to favour either side, but it's certainly a difference from playing at Etihad to the G.
Nick, another one of your mates, Luke Ball, retired last week. Is that sort of a bit of a reminder that time might be sort of slowly running out for the ultimate glory?
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, a little bit. I was a little bit emotional over the weekend. Obviously, Bally retiring on Friday night, and then seeing Lenny Hayes finish up on Sunday, and also Jimmy Gould and Clint Jones, who also finished at the Saints. So, I've been aware of obviously missed opportunities and all those sort of things in the past, and I think that's probably a good message for the guys that you don't get to play finals every year, and you make it, and doesn't mean you're going to make it the next year. So you've got to make every post a winner. That's probably one thing that I will speak to the boys about at some stage throughout this week. But it makes me feel a little bit older, to be honest with you, when you see the guys that you've grown up with and played a lot of footy with finally finishing their careers. You realise that it doesn't last forever. But by saying that, it's exciting times for us, and those guys had fantastic careers and achieved probably what they wanted to in their football career.
Drew, the skipper spoke yesterday about some of the flaws that have been ironed out in recent weeks. What are those flaws that you've been able to clean up?
Do you want to come and answer that question, Skipper? What are some of those flaws, Skip?
Tell them the game plan.
Well, Sean Atley told you the game plan last night, didn't he? So he's barred. No, some of the flaws, it's consistency. Probably the flaws he's speaking about is not training well during the week and then translating into games. And it's a bit of a boring cliche. But when we train well, and for the last 6 weeks we've trained well, so that's resulted in 4 in a row. So we've ironed out those little flaws throughout the week, and that's what's translated into the games for us.
What have been some of Brad's sort of key messages heading into the game on Saturday?
Not telling. No, Brad's. What's he spoken about, Dal? I forgot already.
I was going to say, to be honest with you, it's been pretty consistent. The way that we play our footy doesn't vary drastically from week to week, and we need to just execute that again. So there hasn't been any secret formulas. He hasn't passed on any, I guess, almost stories from his football career, which he's got plenty of. But no, it's been pretty consistent this week, which is good.
Thanks, guys.